Hi, Stephen Doughty, Minister of State from the United Kingdom. It's absolutely clear that Euro-Atlantic security is under threat like we've never seen in our lifetimes, and that's why I'm delighted to be here with fellow foreign ministers and, of course, the Foreign Minister of Ukraine, not only to show our resolute support for Euro-Atlantic security, but also our resolute support for Ukraine. We are very clear that we have an ironclad commitment not only to NATO and to our shared security, but also to Ukraine. We've been clear on our regular funding packages, our support on sanctions, and our support for Ukraine diplomatically, politically, humanitarianly and economically. And it's crucial that we are all working together in Europe and across the Atlantic on this. Because, of course, if Putin succeeds, we will all pay the price. It will show that aggression is the way forward, that the rules-based order means nothing, and that is why we must galvanise our efforts to not only support Ukraine, but also to build up our European defence capabilities, our European defence cooperation, our European defence industrial cooperation, so that we can respond to the threats not only posed by Russia, but by a challenging geopolitical world where our security is at risk. That is our primary duty to our citizens in the United Kingdom, and indeed to the whole of the Euro-Atlantic area. And we will see NATO as the bedrock of that security, but our partnerships with Europe and across the Atlantic more widely. And that's why I'm delighted that we are working closely with the European Union as well on these issues. We've been having important discussions about how we reset that relationship with our European Union partners, and also in the crucial relationship that we have here in Germany and the important discussions that we're having around a treaty and our defence cooperation going forward. So I'm delighted to be here today. We have very important discussions ahead of us, and I'm delighted that we are continuing to show that united solidarity in support of Ukraine in the face of that brutal aggression from Putin and Russia. Thank you very much.
Here, over there. I will speak first in Spanish for the Spanish press, but I can take any question in English. Vengo aquí hoy a Berlín para continuar el diálogo con Alemania, con Francia, con Polonia, con Italia, con el Reino Unido, con la nueva alta representante, para seguir avanzando en una reflexión conjunta de Europa y para que la voz de Europa sea una voz fuerte y también coherente en los principales escenarios internacionales. En primer lugar, en Ucrania, donde dejaré claro que la posición de España es seguir apoyando a Ucrania en la defensa de su libertad, de su integridad territorial, para repeler lo que es una guerra de agresión contra los propios principios de la construcción europea y de la Carta de las Naciones Unidas. Hoy tenemos que plantearnos con claridad en esta reunión la mejor forma de seguir apoyando a Ucrania, y eso supone previsibilidad en la entrega del material que necesiten y financiación. Tenemos que analizar cuál es la mejor forma de financiar el esfuerzo que supone para Ucrania ejercer esta legítima defensa. Hay activos rusos congelados. Hay la posibilidad también de analizar, como en otras ocasiones hemos discutido, eurobonos al respecto. En cualquier caso, lo que tenemos también que tener una reflexión es que detrás de todo eso está también el futuro de la Europa de la defensa y de la mayor integración de nuestra industria de defensa, y el hecho de que esté aquí la alta representante con nosotros hoy es una buena ocasión para ello. Tenemos también que dejar claro que es inaceptable el uso de las infraestructuras civiles ucranianas como objetivo militar y que la destrucción del sistema energético es claramente contraria al derecho internacional. También analizaremos la situación en Siria. España mantiene su embajada abierta en Siria y operativa, adaptada, por supuesto, a las condiciones de seguridad del momento. Nuestro encargado de negocios está desplazado en Beirut, pero la idea es reforzarla y que pueda volver a Damasco en cuanto que esas condiciones de seguridad vuelvan a darse. Creo que es importante, porque es una gran oportunidad, una vez que ha caído Assad y una dictadura queda atrás, que tengamos contactos con las nuevas autoridades, y así lo explicaré. Pero tenemos que ser cuidadosos en esos contactos y tenemos que dejar claro a las nuevas autoridades lo que queremos y en lo que estamos dispuestos a acompañar el futuro de Siria. Y eso pasa por garantizar la integridad territorial de Siria, por garantizar los derechos humanos y muy especialmente los derechos de las minorías, sean estas étnicas o religiosas. Y al mismo tiempo tenemos que solicitar que lo que es un movimiento militar se transforme en un movimiento político. Queremos una Siria pacífica y en paz, una Siria inclusiva para todos y también para las minorías, y una Siria que tenga su integridad territorial garantizada. Y también recordaré hoy al resto de los colegas europeos que, por supuesto, el foco en estos momentos está en Siria, porque se abre una oportunidad en Siria, pero también tenemos que tener muy claro que hay riesgos en la nueva situación, pero no tenemos que olvidar que lo fundamental para conseguir la paz y la estabilidad definitiva en Oriente Medio pasa por un alto el fuego permanente en Gaza y por consolidar el alto el fuego en Líbano y robustecer ese mandato de FINUL que permita acompañar a las fuerzas libanesas para que controlen el sur del Líbano y garanticen a la vez la soberanía del Líbano y también la seguridad de Israel, y que las distintas poblaciones que se han tenido que desplazar a ambos lados de la línea azul puedan volver en condiciones de seguridad. Y, por supuesto, en todo momento lo que trasladaré es que tenemos que buscar, con la nueva administración norteamericana, reforzar el vínculo transatlántico, porque ha sido fundamental en los últimos años para hacer frente a las grandes crisis mundiales y sigue siendo clave, hoy más que nunca, para la seguridad atlántica. España estará dispuesta siempre a sumarse a una Europa más fuerte, más integrada, y también a reforzar el vínculo transatlántico desde nuestra política exterior, que desde luego tiene identidad propia y actúa con coherencia.
In English?
Yes, in English if you wish.
Spain has one of the lowest defence spending rates within NATO, I think around 1.3% of GDP. That's clearly not going to be enough to satisfy Donald Trump. It doesn't seem to be appropriate in the current circumstances. What is Spain doing, and what do you believe will be the appropriate level of defence spending?
There are several things. The percentage is one of the way of measuring the effort and the commitment to European and Euro-Atlantic defense. For instance, Spain is the 8th net contributor out of 32 countries. We are well beyond the target of 20% for big equipment. And we have almost 3,000 soldiers, among one of the main contributors in troops, deployed in the East, in the Baltics, in Slovakia, in Romania, in the Black Sea. We are in other scenarios where NATO is also involved, like, for instance, Iraq. All that makes a sense. We are always focusing in the percentage, but there is much more, and Spain is well committed. And concerning the target, the 2% target, we have a clear commitment, and it's to reach it in 2029 and steadily move to that. So, of course, we will fulfill the commitment, but we have to look also who is deploying soldiers, not only soldiers. We are deploying tanks, ships, and we are in different scenarios. Who is dedicating the 20% or more, like Spain is doing, and what are we talking about absolute term? And the same concerns, for instance, what we are doing for Ukraine. We are helping Ukraine in the legitimate defense of sovereignty and territorial integrity since the very first day, and we will do it as long as it takes, and we do it diplomatically. With humanitarian assistance, with financial assistance, and also with military equipment since the very beginning.
Ministro, España apoya la idea de una fuerza de paz europea en Ucrania y este tema se va a debatir hoy.
Muy probablemente sea una de las ideas que pueda estar hoy en el debate, solo podré decírselo a posteriori, pero desde luego en estos momentos ese no es el punto principal. El punto principal en estos momentos es cómo conseguir una ayuda que sea predecible desde el punto de vista de las entregas, que sea sostenible desde el punto de vista de la financiación, y desde luego la financiación la abordaremos hoy, porque es un tema que es absolutamente crucial y a muy, muy corto plazo cómo ayudar al sistema energético ucraniano que está sistemáticamente siendo machacado y destruido por Rusia en lo que es una violación flagrante del derecho internacional y que está conduciendo a buena parte de Ucrania a estar privada de cosas tan elementales como la calefacción o la propia luz y electricidad. Thank you very much.
Hello, it's great to be here. Today we're going to discuss three topics. First, the Russian influence hybrid threats on European soil, what we could do more for European defense. Second, Ukraine and what we can do to support Ukraine. And third, Syria. So on Russian hybrid threats, we see more and more these hybrid threats all across Europe. We see them in different formats. So we see misinformation campaign, bothering with the election processes. We see also, different hybrid attacks, arsons, different parts of Europe. So it's very important to connect the dots and see the bigger picture, what we can do about this. We can share intelligence. We can also protect our critical infrastructure better, and we can also think about the consequences that we have towards Russia regarding this. So we have also a sanctions package regarding the hybrid threats. Then on Ukraine, we just adopted a new package for for the support of Ukraine's economy, 4.2 billion. And then the 15th sanctions package is about to be adopted, and of course we have to do more to strengthen Ukraine on the battlefield. The stronger they are on the battlefield, the stronger they are behind negotiation table. And of course it's up to Ukraine to say when they are ready to sit around any negotiation table. And third, on Syria, the developments in Syria, the fall of Assad regime has been long awaited and a positive development. Of course now it is the question what comes next and what we can do. In our interest is that there is no radicalization, no persecution of minorities, that the country goes towards a more stable country. This is also in the interest of all the neighboring countries, so we are in close contact, and of course Europe is ready to stand with the Syrian people and also to do more, but our aid also has conditions to have stable country, non-persecution of minorities, no revenge, no retaliation, and really unity among all the groups in Syria. Thank you.
Ms. Callas, to Ukraine, should European soldiers be part of a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine? Should perhaps China be part of a peacekeeping mission?
Well, first of all, we need peace in Ukraine in order to have peacekeeping mission. So, and for that, we need Russia to stop shelling, which they are not doing. Before that, we have nothing to talk about. And of course, it's up to every single European country to make their decision whether they are using their troops in which processes.
Ms. Callas, one question. Apparently, Dimitri Peskov just said that Mr. Orban, the Hungarian Prime Minister, proposed a truce during Christmas without asking Ukraine before. This is the other source from Kyiv. What do you say about this? What's your position on this?
Well, Russia can stop shelling Ukraine, and voila, there is no war. So if they're talking to Russia that they would stop the shelling for Christmas or any longer period, I think this is positive. Ukraine is defending itself against the attack of Russia, so they don't have to use any kind of weapons if Russia is not shelling them. So yes, if Russia stops for Christmas or longer period, that is a positive development, but we haven't seen so far that they want to do this. Okay, good. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Delighted to be here in Berlin for the G5 plus UK plus the High Representative. We very much liked hosting the same company in Warsaw a month ago. This time, I'm glad to say, it is with the participation of the Foreign Minister of Ukraine. And we know what the momentous developments are happening in the United States, in the Middle East, in Ukraine, and therefore this is an excellent opportunity for a strategic discussion among important allies to see what the future brings. So I'm very pleased and grateful to Germany for organizing this meeting.
I would like to also welcome Before we start, please introduce yourself. First question for this guy from Polish media.
Panie ministrze, chciałem zapytać, czy uważa Pan, że możliwe jest wystawienie powojennych sił pokojowych na terenie Ukrainy, czy premier dzisiaj będzie rozmawiał na ten temat z prezydentem Francji Emmanuelem Macronem w Warszawie?
Przede wszystkim uważamy, że nic, co dotyczy Ukrainy, nie powinno odbywać się bez Ukrainy i Europy. To są na razie wstępne pomysły. Jedno wydaje się jasne, Polska ma 600 kilometrów granicy z Białorusią, z Rosją. Wspieramy całą operację logistyczną dla Ukrainy i być może tutaj jest nasza rola, natomiast nie rozważamy jakiegokolwiek wysyłania sił do Ukrainy.
Right side.
Mr. Foreign Minister, there's clearly enough on the plates of European foreign ministers at the time. The German foreign minister, Annalena Baerbock, is facing at the same time rumors about an affair with Antony Blinken. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, I understand that you have an election campaign and there is disinformation and destabilization efforts by hostile countries. You have a great foreign minister, and I hope ridiculous stories like that do not become part of this election campaign. I mean, come on. Will you believe a story of what, an affair with the Pope next? This is just absurd.
Left side.
Thank you. Minister, media are reporting that today in Warsaw, President Macron will ask Tusk about sending 40,000 soldiers for peacekeeping. What do you think about it?
Excuse me.
La stampa ich nim.
Oh, thanks.
I just answered this question in Polish, but we have a different language, so I understand you didn't pick it up. Poland is doing more than anybody to sustain Ukraine in its resistance against Russian aggression. We are spending 4.7% of GDP on defense next year. We are the logistical hub for Ukraine, through which 90% of what Ukraine is getting is going to Ukraine. And we have 600 kilometers of border with two hostile states, Belarus and Russia. I understand there are some ideas, and I'm sure they were discussed as we speak in Warsaw between Prime Minister Tusk and President Macron. If other countries under some flag or coalition wish to sustain Ukraine in a new form, we will consider it, but Poland has no plans at all of participating in anything like that.
Next question, please.
So Richard Walker from Deutsche Welle. See, Poland's been making great strides in its defence spending, 4% of GDP. You have other countries attending here which are well behind on that. Germany just hit the 2%, Italy and Spain both well below 2%. What's your message to them as we approach 2025 about the appropriate investment for countries that may be far away from Russia, but are members of NATO?
Well, if we recognize that Putin's aggressive war is a threat not just to Ukraine, but to the established order in Europe, which it is, Putin broke the taboo established by two bloody world wars. He's trying to change borders by force. Then the resistance against that threat should not be up to only flank countries. If it's a threat to Europe, all of Europe should face it, which is why we support the new target of 3% of GDP on defense. But we also think Europe, as the EU, should get serious, that the new Commissioner for Defense should get real resources to re-industrialize Europe in the defense sphere. And we also think that the European Peace Facility, European defense budget, should be multiplied, because to that we contribute fairly in proportion to GDP. And that's it's a fair burden sharing mechanism for resisting the Russian threat.
Last question, please. No questions?
I have another question. Sorry. Syria. What do you think about the possibility of taking contact with HTS?
Well, first of all, let's remember that the Assad regime was sustained by Iran and Russia. Russia had thousands of troops in Syria, huge investment in its port facilities and a air base, which not only helped the Assad regime, but also carried out really vicious attacks on the Syrian population, including deliberate bombings of hospitals, sometimes with a so-called double tap method, which is that you bomb a civilian target, then you wait until rescuers arrive, and then you bomb the rescuers as well. Let's not forget that. And also, the Russian presence in Syria was a means of destabilizing not just North Africa, but also sub-Saharan Africa, and that should end. We are still in the early phases of monitoring political developments in Syria, which are very complex, as you know. Syrian refugees need to go home, Syria needs to be rehabilitated, but Syria also needs to stop being a platform for spreading instability in the Middle East and beyond.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.